Hello everyone, hello from sunny Guatemala. I'm dropping in here today because I'd like to speak with you about service and contribution and explore the way in which we define what those words mean for ourselves and also for us as a collective, as humanity, and how we might go about living our lives, making our businesses, doing our work, shaping our relationships around this understanding. And I believe it is one of those very important questions that evolves as we evolve, both in our individual lives and for us as a collective, as humanity. And it is also extremely important because it is very closely tied up to our fulfillment. Because it is in that sense of giving the gift that is ours to give to another and seeing the value that we have brought to that another, that the deepest joy and fulfillment can be experienced, among other things, but this is one of them. This is one of the important ones. And so, you see, I come from the world of startups, from the world of entrepreneurship. And in the early years of my career, I feel like every door I opened, it had probably, like, although it was not visible, this poster stuck on it, that would say, okay, if you want to figure out what your service is, you have to answer these two questions. Who is it that you're serving, and what is the value that you're giving them? And I tried over and over again. I tried, the good student that I am, answering those questions perfectly. And it never worked. It never worked neither as business, nor as something that would bring me fulfillment. And so I had to eventually drop it and go and look for something else. And, in these last few years, there's been a deepening and a ripening of my understanding of what service and contribution are actually about. And more recently, I was going through another stage of redefining that service and what it means to me and how it might look like, as my professional life continues evolving. It's like the question of service continues evolving with us, as I shared earlier. And once again, I encountered this simple formula. Who is it that you're serving, and what is the value you're giving them? Over and over again. If you open any business coach, on the internet, that's what they're going to give you as free value. Like, hear me tell you that you have to find out who you're serving and what is the value you're giving them. And there's nothing wrong with that. But I feel like there's a deeper question behind it that when it's not addressed, this is going to feel mechanic, unclear, and there's going to be a lacking drive to actually execute on whatever it is that we define there. And the way I came to really understand why I was feeling this resistance and what was going on was by going for a very nice meeting with some of my favorite teachers. They're actually mushrooms, they're not humans. Yeah, some of you might know I'm an advocate for legalizing plant medicine as this powerful way in which, through symbiosis with another being, we can come to a deeper understanding of ourselves and of our own power, really. And so I asked the mushrooms, I asked them, tell me, guide me, show me about the ripening of my service. How do I go about that? And what they had me do, literally, for about 2 hours, they had me sit there, feel into my heart and the place from where this question was coming, and cry. And I cried and I cried and I cried with how beautiful, how pure, how important, how deep this longing to contribute, to be of service to others is. And that was quite striking, spending 2 hours crying just on the question of this, and just really feeling it in my heart. And towards the end of that, within, just a few moments, they dropped the answer. And the answer was that I'm in service to the sacredness of life. And immediately that struck me as a very radical departure from the horizontal plane in which I was trying to figure out, like, is there something wrong with me, or what's happening? Who am I serving? What am I really, It's like, it just connected me straight to spirit with this answer. The sacredness of life. How the hell do I go about serving the sacredness of life? So what I wanted to share from that with you is just this, this awareness of it actually goes deeper. This question goes deeper than these two simple answers, and that it might be worth you spending some time with your heart in order to connect to that longing that is there to be of service and see what is it that you might want to be in service to, that is coming from that heart space rather than from the mind. And as part of this, I also want to offer 3 reasons why this might be valuable. Not just in terms of, the process and the fulfillment of knowing what that is and feeling it more deeply, but also in terms of the results you might get. So the first reason is that when you define service in this wider way, in this way of the heart, what you end up doing is you create a circumstance in which you will stop holding on so tightly to your definition of your ideal customer and the way you're serving them. Or it can be like your client or your partner or whoever, but just come back a little bit and be like, wait a minute, I'm serving something larger than myself, than this person, that we are both an expression of, but it is so much bigger. And every step I take, every action I make in awareness of serving something bigger is actually going to ripple out beyond my awareness. And there's going to be opportunities and things coming my way, coming back towards me, that are going to come from this unknown place. That is not because I set a goal, not because I set a target that I'm going to be targeting these people and whatever, but because I'm functioning from a higher level of consciousness, that I am serving something bigger. And as I serve that something bigger, the results of my actions are beyond my awareness, and also the opportunities that come back towards me come from a place that is beyond my awareness. And there is an abundance to that, an infiniteness to the mindset that comes with that, that creates a certain flux, energetic flux, that will bring opportunities in ways that are beyond your wildest imagination. And yes, you can bring the who am I serving and the value I'm giving them as part of that, but it's going to be so much bigger than that, and that's going to be so much more fulfilling to live in that way. The second reason why this is important is because the moment you define service in this way, you also acquire what Simon Sinek and Brené Brown named very nicely in a talk they had on a podcast I listened to recently as an invisible team. So there's going to be a team that is on that same journey, on that same purpose. Some of them might be people that you know. Many of them will be people that you don't know. And all of those people, and actually even beings in my case, will be serving the same purpose, You're no longer on your own here. You are part of something much bigger than yourself. You're doing your part. And even if what you might experience as competition, you're gonna start seeing this. You're gonna stop being so concerned about what this person is doing, and whether they're moving faster than you or not. Because if you know they're serving that same bigger purpose, then it's awesome that they're moving closer to it, because you can push one another, you can poke one another, you can be like, okay, they have moved forward. Well, that pushes me to move forward closer to that goal, to get better at my game, to get better at this game where we're both headed in the same direction rather than opposing one another. And how awesome is that? To actually have someone to challenge yourself with, rather than someone that is a threat to you, And last and not least, as you define service in this way, what you're really doing is you're stepping in your leadership. Because, if you define who you're serving and in what way you're serving them, you are perhaps being a good manager, giving clarity to your team or to the people you're working with. But if you're able to define why, what is this for? If you think of any person that you might have found inspiring in your life, if you dig a bit deeper, you're going to find out that they had something bigger than themselves that they were in service to, and that they were, building this team, visible and invisible, to serve that bigger purpose together. So those are some reasons why you might want to consider being with this question a bit more. And, if you know it, wonderful. Just remember it. If you don't know it, give it some time, give it some space. Ask yourself, how does my heart define who and what it is that I'm in service to? And give it some space. And if you feel that, okay, it's maybe challenging for you to figure that out on your own, I'm always here to support you as well with my work, with my coaching work, and also with what we're doing in the playground, which is very much about the heart. It's, connection. It's heart work. So, I'm looking forward to exploring this with you, and I'm looking forward to serving something bigger than ourselves together, because it is high time that as humanity we begin to do and to see that more. Wishing you a wonderful day. Take care.